Hey guys, it's TF Nut. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing another action figure review. This is going to be of the Bandai Tamashii Nations S.H. Figuarts Dragon Ball GT Super Saiyan 4 Son Goku, which was released earlier this year or late last year for some people. I got mine from Big Bad Toy Store. This thing sold out super quick with those initial pre-orders, so I was lucky to get one, even if I had to wait a little bit longer. I thought it was gonna get a re-release soon. I think I'm wrong. I thought it was gonna get re-released alongside with the new Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta that will be coming out, but from my understanding, it's still sold out in certain places. Who knows? I'll still leave some links down in the description below. I am pretty late to this review. I still want to review it for the channel. I have a few anime figure reviews I'm doing throughout the whole week, and basically what you've been seeing throughout here. I'm not going super in depth with the packaging like I usually do, because you guys have probably seen this already by now. To save some time, I'm just talking while showing off the packaging. Anyway, let's go ahead and get this figure out of the box. Right out of the box, this is an extremely well done figure, and I can't believe it took me this long to actually open it. I really like this figure. It's not perfect, but it is still really nice. I think it's one of the best in the Dragon Ball line for S.H. Figuarts to date. First of all, this figure does come with a standard instruction booklet on how to use some of the alternate accessories, as well as how to prevent paint rubbing in certain areas. There's also a backside to show off the effects piece and how to insert some of the parts there. Other than that, as you see here, we do get a really good amount of accessories: different hands, faces, a tail, as well as a Kamehameha times 10 effects piece. First of all, each of these hands are pretty similarly detailed and sculpted. The pink fur on the back of the hand right there, I wish was detailed a little bit better. I don't think it looks incredible, but the paint work on it is pretty decent. Everything else when it comes to the skin tone is pretty consistent. It's not much shading in the hands, like, usually with S.H. Figuarts, but the hands still look good, as well as attempting to sculpt some fingernails in there, which the fingernail sculpting is usually pretty good on these. And I'll quickly go over. So you saw those more bent finger clenched hands. You have these flatter hands for doing certain attacks. These are nice instant transmission hands with the index and ring finger sticking out. That's sick. And then you have the index finger and ring finger, in a certain pose, a martial arts pose, I guess. These sticking out too. All that looks really nice. Here's the tail. I actually think the detailing on the fur on the tail is really good, so I don't really have any problems there. It's a bit of a softer plastic, but by no means is it gonna, I'm pretty sure it does not bend with a bendy wire or anything, so be careful with the tail. It does have a hinge actually right here. You would just insert it. This actually is a little bit of a loose ball joint, so you'd have to be careful, but you could insert into the back. If I can do it right now, and for some reason I'm not. There we go. I got it in there. So, yeah. It's a little tricky to get in there. Once it's in there, it actually does not want to rotate easily. Like, for some reason, whatever's going on here doesn't want to rotate. So, there we go. Just be careful trying to mess around with the tail, I guess. We also have some alternate faces. All these look really good. We have a left-looking side face for the Kamehameha effect. He's using that. All the faces also look pretty consistent when it comes to the paint work, when it comes to the scrunches around the eyebrows and on the forehead, as well as those red lines around his eyes. The pupil work, the paint on that is really nice looking. All that looks great. Even the detailing in the teeth and the mouth looks awesome. It's very nice. It looks like there might be a little bit of shading or something going on there. It's mostly the lip color, but then there's a little bit of paint on the wrinkle right there on the angry face part, or really on the upper lip, I should say. I don't know what I was saying there just a second ago, but on the chin too, that looks good. And then you have this more smirking face. Again, that looks really awesome. The detailing and paint work, even under the eyes too, and in the ears. Oh, that looks great. Sometimes with some of the, it really depends, but sometimes the sculpting the ears isn't great. It's not a make or break for me. I just notice how nice these ears are sculpted though, so that's really sick. Then we have a screaming face, which has really good paint work in the teeth and the tongue there too. And it has this separate piece that's glued in there in the factory, I guess. So, very, very nice looking. The last thing I want to mention is that he does come with some gripped hands, as you see here, very similar to some of the ones you got already with the figure, except you have these large pegs. Essentially, with the Kamehameha times 10 effects piece, there is a hole right here. You just port that right in. It stays in there nice and sturdy like. This is a really cool effects piece too. My one thing is that these beam pieces kind of want to fall a little bit, but they are actually a pretty sturdy plastic compared to previous ones, which feel a little bit more thin. And also, what I like about this Kamehameha effects piece is that there's 5 shorter beams sticking out, 2 longer ones. So the 2 longer ones share the same size hole, and then the 5 other ones similarly share a similar size hole. So that way you can mix and match these without, all having to worry about the different shapes like with the previous ones. I like that they're all pretty much a uniform shape, and it's not very hard to port them in. Again, the beam pieces are sturdy. They all are molded in this really nice translucent pinkish reddish plastic with some really nice sculpting. I mean, yeah, they're all pretty much the exact same sculpt, but they still all look good. And then the actual sphere, all that texturing looks really awesome. I really like this effects piece. Starting off with the detail, this head sculpt is incredible. This is the neutral face he comes packaged with, by the way. That already looks really good. Similar paint apps with the previous heads I show off here, except you just get a frown on this face. In the packaging was coming off a little bit, but after finagling some things and pushing this face, pushing this hairpiece a little bit more, it stays in it a little bit nicer. So, very awesome. One thing I do want to mention, even though this isn't the articulation portion, of course, we do have some interesting ball joints in the hair for dynamic posing. That is really cool. This one's a little loose here. I don't think it's going to get in the way of posing too much. You can keep it posed, it just glides a little too much. These kind of, actually, no, this one here is a little bit looser than this one, but they're both also pretty sturdy. For now, I can't tell if there's a hinge or it's both ball joints on both ends. But it's really cool that they actually were able to get some articulated hair in here. And it's not super long. It's not too overly complicated. So that way it's hard or not fun to pose around. It is really sick. I really like the sculpting and the black molded hair. I think there might be some paint apps in here. Sometimes I just can't tell what's molded in a certain color and what has paint apps. But usually everything looks really good when it comes to the details and the sculpting. So the hair, no complaints there. The body is really nice done. Very nice buff chest here. The muscles, as you can see in the chest, very awesome. Some of the engineering and the inner sockets come through a little too clearly in some areas, but you can, pose that up a bit, fix up the posing, whereas I suck with posing to where you can cover up those joints a bit better. The sculpting in the fur, even though I mentioned it wasn't great on the back of the hands, is great on the arms. They look fantastic, and I do feel like there's some paint on these. They look great. You could tell because it's a little bit more matte here on this part of the forearm compared to this pink sculpted elbow joint, which all that color fits in there and is consistent. So while it's a little glossy here because it's a consistent color and a consistent sculpt, it still looks really good. Then you have these teal armbands, and you got the fists that are packaged on here. Now, I don't know, maybe, I don't know if I would say skin tone, his skin tone, or the pink joint, wrist joints would be better. But for now, I'm not going to hate on these pink joints. They're just, it might be a tiny bit distracting, but they don't look that bad. If it's a complaint, it's such a super minor complaint that I just noticed. The back of with the fur and all that pink is really well done too. And you can see the back of the elbows with all that sculpting. It's such a really nicely sculpted figure. This figure for a lot of people is worth the wait because it is so nicely done. I'm sure they've heard a lot of people talking about wanting this figure, all the suggestions they may or may not have heard. Either way, they really knocked it out of the park. Wow, it's incredible. We have this blue waistband here. I already talked about what's going on with the tail
And then you get it down to the yellow pants. These look great too. These are not the exact same. I don't have a Goku on me right now, but these are not the exact same as those, so that's good. You know, you don't have to worry about some of these, sometimes the extra plastic pieces that are around here, which I'll bring out some Gokus for size comparisons. They can be a little bit distracting, these looser, like orange plastic pieces. So just all of this being a larger sculpt, yeah, I'm fine with that. Now, we'll get to articulation later, but you have the butt sculpt, which that will get in the way of the back movement, unfortunately. But it does have really nice wrinkles in the yellow molded parts. I think actually there's a lot of paint on the upper legs and on the butt. And then you do have, I believe, a molded yellow, which is consistent with the rest of the pants. Similar approach to what they did here. It actually feels like there might be a little bit of paint in this. I'm not entirely sure. It looks glossier than this, which is why it gives me the vibe that this right here, you know, which this is molded in this color and then this is painted like that. But all these nice wrinkles in the pants look great down to the knees. I think there might be a very subtle shading of like some type of darker yellow and the brighter yellow and like the upper thighs. There might be like, I don't know if it's just the light or there's a little bit of paint apps in some of these creases to bring out the detail in the creases. All that looks really good. There's even some sculpting on the back of the knee joints. Then you get down to the shoes, which have the, you know around the calves here looking really nice. It's molded in this blue color. It still looks pretty good. Some nice wrinkles. And you get down to the shoes, which have a little bit of wrinkles in there too. Nice pointy shoes. The paint, you know, separating the black and the gray looks good. That's what the bottom of the feet look like. Going back, you know, just give me a quick 360. This is such an amazing, well detailed, well sculpted, well painted where there is paint, overall well done figure. He has a little bit above standard articulation because of that hair articulation. First of all, he actually has this style neck peg system with the Superior Gohan, a bunch of other SH Figuarts now, instead of the swivel hinge and ball joint head like on a bunch of Gokus, which honestly this was always very brittle feeling to me and would make me worried that this would break. So I'm glad that this figure here actually uses that. It allows for, you know, tilting. The face wants to pop off pretty easily, unfortunately, on mine. You also have the articulation going into the chest, so the back motion like that's really good since you can move the hair downward, side to side. Swiveling could be a little bit better because the hair gets in the way. And again, you have all these different ball joints in 4 different parts of the hair, 2 in the back as well as 2 in the front up here. We do have a butterfly joint style ball joint. I think there's also this separate plastic piece that I'm pointing at in the shoulder. I think also has like a ball joint going in downward. So it actually allows for all this different range of motion, moving parts with it, you know, outward that much, or all the way around, forward and back. Upper arm swivel, as you can see, double jointed elbows, which the swivel here at the bicep as well as this lower bend is a little bit loose, but it still keeps the pose. Standard wrist articulation for, you know, SH Figuarts. It goes up and down here. You can swivel it to go in and out. I'm not doing the greatest job doing that right now. But you do also have 2 different ball joints at the waist. Not the greatest range of motion at the chest, but like a lot of the SH Figuarts, it mostly just swivels a little bit forward and back. It's a little bit of a pivot, but you get a lot better motion at the actual waist where that blue band is. So it allows for all this swiveling forward, back, side to side motion. T-joint legs, they kick out all the way, but don't kick back at all, like I said earlier. T-joints also allow it to go all the way out really nicely too. You have upper thigh swivel, double jointed knees, as well as a rotation here at the ankle. And you also have the up is not great, but the down actually is also not that great either, but it's better than the up. Ankle rocker, toe hinge. Also forgot to mention swivel at the tail, hinge at the tail, swivel at this part of the tail. I'm sure many of you by now know just how tall SH Figuarts figures are compared to lines like Marvel Legends and Star Wars The Black Series, which are going to be a little bit taller than SH Figuarts. So I just wanted to bring out some of the Gokus in my collection for a quick size comparison, including the Warrior Awakening version, as well as the Saiyan Raised on Earth version, Super Saiyan 3, and Ultra Instinct, which all of them are pretty similar in height. The one in the middle, Super Saiyan 4, of course, is going to be a little bit taller, not just because of the hair, I think because of the legs, and I think the torso might be a little bit longer too. But the closest next to him in terms of height is going to be the Super Saiyan 3 version. Like I said earlier, I am very much late to this review, but I still really like this figure. Very happy to finally have it out of the box and have it in hand. It is incredible. All the different accessories, different posing you can do, the details and sculpting, and the paintwork on this is fantastic. I even like the articulated hair. There is very little that they got wrong with the execution of this figure. I think Tamashii Nations did an incredible job. Again, if you ask me, it's one of their best S.H. Figuarts Dragon Ball figures to date. Maybe even one of their best throughout all of S.H. Figuarts. That might be
a little bit of a bold claim because Tamashii Nations makes a lot of stuff, but this is still a really great figure. I have no idea if this actually is getting re-released or not, like I thought originally. I would keep my eyes out. I think there are some retailers that you can still get this figure. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Comment down below what you think about the figure, what you think about the review. Leave a like, share amongst your friends. Follow me on Instagram for more content over there, and I'll see you guys later.